Hi everyone, and welcome to the very first tutorial of this series. And on these couple of tutorials ahead, we'll be just focusing on the Unity side. Less coding, more Unity. And for this video, this is what I'm going to be showing you how to do. And if I run that, when I click on this button, which says click me, I'm going to change that text here, and I'm also going to change the background color. So if I click, you see it changed after the button has been clicked, and it also changes the background color. Now it may look simple to do, and it is, but while I'm doing that, I'm also going to be showing you a whole lot of stuff that you'll be basically using throughout your whole experience with Unity. And I'm sorry, my mic was just on top of my head. So hopefully you hear me better now. Anyway, so with that out of the way, let's begin. So let me delete all of that stuff here now. So we'll just basically start from scratch. So let's delete that. Now, reload. That's my editor, code editor. Anyway, now here you see the hierarchy. The hierarchy is where all of your game objects will be. And what is a game object? Well, game object is canvas, the main camera, and the canvas is this whole thing here, which will basically be as a background. Basically, all of our stuff that we'll be putting will be in there. So basically, if I right click on canvas, go to UI, and select text, you see I'm adding a text within that canvas. So since I right clicked on it, now canvas is a parent of text game object, and text game object is a child of canvas. And now you can move your game objects like this, or you can come to the inspector tab, and in here you see this transform game component. Each of these sections here are called components, and here you can also specify the position X, which let's say we say 30 or 50, or you get the points, right? But again, you can also change the location from here. As you can see, while moving that, the position X and position Y is changing coincidentally. And anyway, so yeah, that's the inspector. It's really important because basically it allows you to change stuff to your game objects really easy. And for example, let's change the text of this game object here. So let's call it example text. So you can also zoom in here, and if you double click on the object, let me show you. If you double click, it will just centralize it for you really nicely. So let's change the font of it. So we can click on it again, so the inspector will see that object. You can change the font. I'm not having any fonts right now, but in the future videos I'm going to show you how you can add fonts. Font style, let's make it bold, and let's change the color to red. Now let's centralize that, so let's align it. So that's aligning it in the center, but if you see, it's not vertically aligned in the center. So that's where you align it vertically. So if I click on that, it will align it vertically in the center. You can also put it in the bottom or in the top, or again in the center. Same with the horizontal alignment. Okay, so we've got that pretty easy. Okay, so that's for our text. Let's put it here. And by the way, don't worry about about these here. Let me move that out. About these, I'm going to explain what these are in the next tutorial. For now, just ignore them. So let's put that in the center, and let's create a new UI element, which will be a button. So as you can see from the UI, you have quite a choice here. You have image, you have raw image, you've got drop down, scroll bar, all that type of stuff. So now let's add the button. And again, if you see, we added that within the canvas, so button will be a child from the of the canvas. You can also move the button outside of the canvas. So right now, if you zoom in here, that's where our button is, but you can't see it because canvas is overriding it. If we put that in here, again, you still won't see it. So that's why you need to put it within the canvas. So right now, canvas is a parent, and this is a child. So you can see the child of the parent. And again, if you come to the inspector, it's pretty similar to the text. You got all these all of these components. Yep. I forgot the word for a second, but okay, let's change the color now to, I don't know, let's change to green. Why not? Let's change I was gonna say let's change the color of the text, but do we really need to? Oh wow, okay, so let's make that okay. I have no idea why that is there, to be honest. Let's remove that. You must have a graphic target in order. Okay, so we need it anyway, so let's just not touch that. And let's come here and let's change the button color. And as you can see, we have this highlighted color, which is basically, let's change that to that color. So when I hover over it, if I run it, you can see that it's changing the color to whatever we specified here. Okay, that's quite cool. And yeah, I mean, I'm not going to touch anything on the button for now. You can also where is it? You can also change the text of the button, and as you can see, when you create a button, it automatically creates a text component, text game object that will be a child of the button. So now let's change this text here, which will say click me. Okay, so that will be it for now for this type of stuff. Now the exciting part. So I'm going to show you how you can attach scripts to your button, so when you click on the button, something will happen. So let's come in the assets folder, right click, and let's create a folder that will be called scripts, just so our folder structure is organized. So let's right click on the scripts, click on create, and create a C# script. Actually no, we're going to do it that way. Let's go to button and click on add component. Here click on new script and create a name for your script, basically. So let's just call it change stuff. Okay, yeah, let's just call it change stuff. Click on create and add, so it will create that script, and it will also add it as a component to the button. As you can see, it popped up here. Now let's move that into scripts. As I said, we need to have our folder. Oops, I double clicked on it, which will open Visual Studio, which is what we want. But again, let's move that to scripts. There we are. We want our folder structure organized, as I said already. Okay, so don't worry about that one. Now let's delete all of that stuff. We won't need it for now. We'll use it later in the tutorials, but for now we don't care about them. Alright, now if you're completely new to coding, don't worry if you don't particularly get what I'll be showing you now. Just know that you can do it, and don't worry about the syntax for now, because yeah, so basically what we'll do is we'll create a method that will be public, and when we're saying public, that means it can be accessed outside of that class, and the class is this whole script. Basically it will be quote-unquote parent of all the methods that we write, and the methods will be basically the actions that our program will be doing, our script will be doing more specifically. So let's say public void, and then let's just call it change. I just call it change text for now. Okay, now what do we want to change? Well, we want to change that text here, right? That text here. But somehow we need to reference that game object here. And if we come into the inspector, we have this text here. So basically we need to access this text field within the inspector, within that specific game object that is in our hierarchy. So yeah, so we need our button to be able to access this text game object, and more specifically even the components and even the fields within the components of it. Hope that makes sense. So how do we do that? Well, you write this cryptic syntax here that basically is serialized fields, then the type of the object, we need to include that, and if you want to include it, we need to include Unity Engine UI, I think. Yeah, so basically this is included in this namespace here in the Unity Engine UI. So this gives us access to the to the inspector fields here within the components of the game objects. So we need that included in our script to be able to access this, because if we don't have this included using this syntax, you won't have access to it, to the game components. So right now we have this text, and now let's just call it text. Now let's save that, Control S, let's go back to the Unity, it's compiled. Now if we click on button and come over here, what the heck, reload. Okay, I don't know why that was, but now we should see where exactly are you? Oh, okay. For whatever reason it created the same file again. So if you go to, okay, I don't know what went wrong here. Something's messing up with my with my editor, but anyway, so let's delete the older script because now we have duplicates. Now let's move that in there. Now let's hope that press reload. Oh, reload. Okay, I don't know what that is, but again, let's pretend it's something normal. Now let's click on button. Hopefully it will have updated it. There. Oops. Script. So we don't have the script now. Okay. So if we come here, click on button, let's add that in there. I don't know what's going on wrong, but anyway, here we have this text now, right? Because we wrote this line. If we comment that line, and when we comment something, that means that it won't be read by the compiler, and the compiler is the tool that actually executes your script. I mean, there is more technical details to it, but for now, just think of it as executable tool. Now, again, I saved that, commented that out. That won't be read. Now you won't see this text. So now let's uncomment it, meaning it will be read by the compiler, and it should appear. If we compile, there it is. All right. Now, what exactly is this? As you can see, that's the type of this variable, of this field. And what is that type? Well, if we go to this text game object and we see this text here, that's what we're saying. So basically, this is of type text field, and that's a text field here. So we have a reference to a text basically. Now if we pass this text there, we are passing our game object, which is of type text, to this type text serialized field, which we can access within our script. I hope that makes sense. I know it's confusing, but so we have access to it now basically from within our script. So what we can say is text.text. Oh, actually, let's change the name so it won't be that confusing. So basically that will be text to be changed. Even let's say text object, and then here we'll say text object to be changed dot text. As you can see, Visual Studio is completing that for us. And then text object to be changed. There we go. Text object to be changed dot text, and let's say change text after click on the button. There we go. Now just to show you again, if you go to this text object and go to text, that's what we are referencing. So when we're saying dot text equals to this, then this text here will be changed to this, to that basically, to whatever we write here. And just to show you another example, if we press dot, you see all of that stuff. So basically we've got alignment. If you go to the text object, you see alignment here, right? So you can access alignment. Let's see what else we have there. We have animation, trying to find color. Okay, we have color. If we come here, that's what we're meaning by color. So we can also change the color. You don't believe me? Well, let's just type dot color, and then you have to write color dot red, or let's not make it red, let's make it green. So that's how you write the color basically. That's a Unity engine dot color. It's using that, I think, that namespace, and then by dot, and that's already written basically. So you're just specifying which color you want. That's an enum, so we won't be covering that for now. But in future tutorials, hopefully we'll cover that. For now, don't worry about it. That all that means is we're choosing the green color. Okay. And okay, so again, what do we want to do? Well, when we click on that, we want to change that, but we are still not quite there yet, because our Unity doesn't know that this script will be executed when we click on that, even though we have added as a component. What we're missing is we need to add it on here where it says on click. So let's add to list, select the object, and the object that we want to select is the button. Then here we have no function. Click on it, go to change stuff, and then go to change text. Now what we did was we go to this change stuff function, not function but script, this class here, and then we're saying dot change text, and this is the change text function within or method within that class. So we have access to that. So basically what we did was on click activate this function. And what does this function do, or this method do? Well, it literally changes the text to here, to whatever we specified here, and we're changing the color. So now if we run it, that's where you run, by the way, your program. Now if we click on click me, nothing is happening. So let's see why not. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. It says 8 here, and that 8 should specify the line. So that's interesting. What? No pointer. Okay. So when you say no pointer, that means that there is a problem with the reference of that object. Means it can't really see it. There we go. That's why. Because we forgot I mean, we put it actually, I think, but because we changed the name, remember, first it was text, now it's text object to be changed. Since that changed here, it removed the text that we passed, which was that object. Now if we run it again and click on click me, there we go. That changed the color to whatever we specified here, and it changed the text to that. Changed text after click on the button. Change text after. Now, the reason it doesn't specify the whole text is because this placeholder is too small. Now let's make it a bit bigger. Now let's run it again. So there is just enough space for that whole text there. There we go. So now it's a bit bigger. So it has enough space for that whole piece of text there. Okay, one more thing that I want to show you is click on right click on canvas, UI, image. Now this image, as you can see here, it's covering our elements, our UI elements. So what we want to do is move it on top of them. So now your other objects will be on top of your image game object. So let's make it as if that was a background. Let's let's click on image, go to the inspector, and okay, I mean, we don't want to change anything from here, but what we want to do is change the color of this image, right? So let's come here and actually I'm just going to do it in the same method. I'm not going to create a new method. So let's say, basically, again, remember what we did for the text object? We have to reference this image from that function there. So pause the video and figure out how we can pass this image to the button in that function. Basically, how we can reference to that, how we can have a reference to that game object. Don't worry if you don't get it, but just try, maybe rewind the video, try your best to do it. So let's do it now. What we say is serialize field, then image, and then let's just say image here. Now if we save that, go to button, let it compile. There we go. Now we have this image, and it automatically capitalizes it, because here we have I, and here we have capital I. Here we have T, capital, and here we have it small case. So it's intelligent, really. And now we want to pass this image object in there. There we go. Now here we can basically change attributes to this image. So let's change the color of it, and let's just say black. Again, color.black basically means black. Again, don't worry about how this is happening technically. Don't worry about how this is happening behind the scenes for now, because we haven't covered enumerators and all that good stuff. So don't worry, just know on top level that this means black color. Okay. So yeah, we're saying image, this image here, which is a type of image, which means this image here, we are passing it to the button. So now we have we can reference that image in our script. So we are saying image.color black, and when we click on that button, this will be executed because we passed on click button change stuff, which is this whole file, if you will, and then change text, which is this function that will get executed after we click on the button. Now let's run that, and let's click. There we go. We changed the background color of the image. I mean, technically it's not the background color, but the color itself of the image. And then we also changed the text content of that text game object. So yeah, basically when you say serialize field, it means that we are adding a field to that game, to that component, or in other words to the script, which happens to be a component just like canvas renderer, just like rect transform, just like pose x is a field. That's how serialized field is as well. It's the same thing, really. And then you can just pass these objects in there. And keep in mind that this here that we specify the type, which is text and image, is very important. You can't pass, let's say, text into an image. It just won't work. So you have to be careful with that sort of stuff. And yeah, for now, because we covered a lot of stuff in this first video, don't worry if you didn't understand most of the stuff. Probably that will just act as a top level understanding of the concepts, because we'll be going over them over and over again. So you will get them in time. Don't worry. But for now, yeah, that will be for this tutorial. Let me know, guys, how I did. And yeah, I mean, thanks for watching. See you on the next video.